And Barrel was on the other side of Main Street.
No, wait, we didn't welcome him back. Start again. Go.
Welcome back. What was the other side of Main Street like?
Oh, we talked about the south side of Main Street the last time. This time we'll go on the north side. On the corner of Mechanic and Main. You know what that is? Down where the...
Where was that?
Way at the bottom of Main Street, right across from the firewall.
Oh, yes.
There was a vacant lot in the corner, and about where the Quonset hut is now, there was a big white place there, and that was a garage. It was run by Fred Buckley and Wally Berghorn. And they was B&B Garage. And at one time, it was Wally Berghorn was working underneath the car, and something caught on fire. And then, we didn't know him, of course, but he had scars all down his neck here. And there was an Indian lady who was going down the street. She saw it, and she ran right over and put her shawl around him. It's the only thing that saved his life.
Who was Fred Berkeley?
Buckley?
Buckley, yeah, that's his name.
Do you know Mrs. Perry? Mrs. Tom Perry, or his mother?
No.
He was the mother of Mrs. Perry.
Oh.
The father of Mrs. Perry, rather. And he had an automobile agency one time, too. Sold Hudson cars, Terraplane cars. And then the next building where the medical center is now, that was the Martin Brothers machine shop. Art and Harry Martin were brothers, and they had this machine shop. They also sold automobiles and serviced them.
How old were you when that was a machine shop?
Oh, probably 10 or 15 years old.
So what year would that have been?
They built the building where the optician is now. And that was originally there. They built it for their machine shop, a new machine shop for them. Well, they run quite a while, and then they went to other things after they died off. And then across Buffalo Street, there was a double building there where that parking lot is. And there's a restaurant on one side and a print shop on the other. And a guy by the name of Murphy printed the Akron Journal there. That was like, well, the heck, one had two papers then.
What was the other paper?
Akron Breeze.
And where was that?
Oh, about what the back part of the bank is now. And next was a garage, a Chevrolet agency, Flint and Ackerson was the name of it. Not Ackerson, Ackerson.
Ackerson. Ackerson.
And then came was a pool room and bowling alley, and where the pizza shop is now.
Which pizza shop?
Tony's.
Oh.
Tony's Pizza Shop was there was a bowling alley and a big, pool tables. They had 3 or 4 pool tables in there.
What happened to the bowling alley?
The final thing that happened, it caught on fire and burned down.
When was that?
And that's when Kelly Shabaki was running it.
What year?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that.
In the 50s or no, 60s?
Probably in along in there sometime. And then next place up was the Wickwire National Bank.
What did they do there? Was that
It
the
was a
bank?
regular bank.
Oh.
It was a predecessor of the Bank of Akron. It turned into the Bank of Akron. You know Bob Anderson?
No.
plays trumpet in the town band. She does. His father was a head cashier in
Oh.
that bank. And John's grandfather, I.D., he was the president of the bank.
I.D. Eckerson.
Yeah, I.D. Eckerson. And then the next place up was filling station, where the filling station is now, was a bar room too. Then there was a small space with nothing, and on the corner was a little office building. And that's where my dad worked. They used to call it Ellicott Square. It was just a joke, of course. And after the Ellicott Square building in Buffalo, that was such a beautiful building, and this was just a dumpy place. And that's where, instead of holding their celebrations for 4th of July, they held them down there. Because they didn't use the park for celebrations then. And then across the street was, well, I was told where the hardware store is now.
Which one, Schrock's?
Schrock's hardware
Yes,
store
Schrock's
is
hardware.
now. They told me that was a stagecoach stop at one time. And I don't know, that's before my time.
Stagecoach.
And then it had restaurants in there. And then later on, when I was out of school, they had a billiard room there too, and an ice cream parlor combined. Then
Was that
next-
the Frojoy?
That was Frojoy, yeah. Sam Masler read it. And the next place was Peterson's.
Peterson's Hardware?
Ford Agency.
Oh, I thought it was Peterson's Hardware.
No. No, John Peterson was the father and Bill was the son, and they ran that.
What building is there today?
The new pharmacy.
The pharmacy, Hallmark Pharmacy up in
Yeah.
town. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next building up, if you look up at the top, it says King's. Way up in the top is a block that says King's, and it gives a date. I forgot what it is, 1916 or something. And that was that was before my time, but I knew the Mr. King and Mrs. King, because they lived 2 doors from me down Marshall Street. And so that was a nickel theater.
Was that was a theater? The King's place?
And then after they went out of business, why, they kind of like cut it in half. And then on one side was a paint store, wallpaper, stuff like that. And the guy was an undertaker. His name was Ed Ford, and he lived up on Bloomingdale there. Right next to, where Anderson used to live, where the doctors used to be, you know that, where they were right by the park, the next house down, where Joe Richards used to live. Can't help you. It's the second one from Hoig Avenue. Second house on the left from Hoig Avenue was where they said Ford lived. Well,
Where Pentecosts were and
no, the other way, down Bloomingdale,
Stanberry?
next door to it.
Next door to Doc Stanberry?
Yeah.
Was the Richards family.
Yeah, that's where Joe Richards lived, but
Yeah.
this Ed Ford was in there first, when I was little.
So
And
what was in the King's shop then? A movie? You said
Yeah.
a nickel movie?
Nickel to go to the movies. You can imagine what kind of movies they had.
No, I can't. Tell me, what kind of movie?
Why they black and white, no sound, and they'd jump all over the place.
Was there an organ? Did they play music to them?
Oh, piano.
Piano?
And well, then the next place was a house with that empty restaurant is. Oh, wait a minute. I'll tell you, but the other half of that store, there was this paint store on one side and the Akron post office was in there on the other side. Then they built the one up on where it is now.
Wow.
And that was a WPA project.
How long was, what year did they build the post office, and how long has the post office now been there, where it is now?
It is in, during the Depression of the early 30s.
So basically what you're saying is,
70 years.
It
oh,
was a WPA project.
oh,
Ask him what WPA is.
what is WPA?
Works. Well, there wasn't any work, so the government had these WPA projects, and it was Works Progress Administration. And they built buildings, well, the town hall was another WPA project.
And the bridge going into the park was?
I think, I don't know whether that was or not. I think the county built that. They put the highway down through there, and
I have that, just that bridge listed as one of the WPA projects.
well,
And the
maybe
lake.
it was. I
The
don't
dam.
know.
The dam under the bridge?
Yeah. And then next was a meat market where that computer place is. It was a meat market,
What was the meat market called?
Bates's Market.
Oh,
A man by the name of Mark Bates run it. And his son was as good a sousaphone player as I ever heard.
what is a
Wasn't
sousaphone?
he, Nancy? You remember Bud Bates?
I heard about him.
Yeah, he'd
Yeah.
play a trumpet solo on a bass horn. You know, that's doing something.
Who was Bud Bates?
He was the son of the man who ran the meat market.
What was the instrument you said that he played really good on? And what was it?
Sousaphone.
What
Those
was-
big ones that come all over your head.
Oh, that big, huge mouth.
Yeah. And he was excellent. I don't know whatever happened to him after the war. He was in there with Lester Remsen. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Who is Lester Remsen?
Well, he's an excellent trumpet player. It was Dr. Remsen. He had a doctorate in music. And he was a trumpet soloist for the Marine Band for a few years. And that was outstanding.
Then he
And-
became a composer out in Hollywood.
And yeah, and he the head of the music department in the University of Southern Cal too. And his wife, they met down at down in Rochester. What's that school down there? The music school,
Eastman.
Eastman School of Music. She played harp. Well, years ago, I don't know about now, but when there was somebody playing a harp in the movies, she was playing and they were just going through the motions. And, well, anyhow, then that house that was in there was later moved down on Pearl Street. It's, well, Freeman lives on the corner, it's the next house up. And then that house used to be there on Main Street. And then the next place was the Oasis. That was the ice cream parlor and several other things they had in there. And there was Burgoyne and Noddings. There was on the corner with the law office now, and that was the drugstore.
What was the name of the drugstore?
Burgoyne and Noddings.
I thought it was Rexall.
Oh, before that.
Oh. Sorry.
No, Burgoyne and Noddings.
Just to
And then come
clarify,
the-
what building was the Frojoy in?
Right across from the bank, right next to the, on,
Right on Buffalo? No, Monroe
I'll
Street?
be on Monroe Street, at the corner of Main and Monroe. Where Schrock's drugstore is,
Okay. Schrock's Hardware.
hardware. And then there came the bank. And then that was into the business on this section there, on that side of the street. In the park, I don't know if I told you before how we used to slide down through that park.
No.
Oh, yeah, they used to, well, they didn't plow the streets in those days. They just drove on them and they packed it right down and just almost ice. And we'd start across from the Methodist church, go down through and come out on the John Street in the corner, and go from there right down, all the way down John Street and around the corner, almost up to Main Street. Or we could go that way, or we could go down Clinton Street, or you could go down by the library, go down by the cemetery. Man, there'd be a lot of kids up there. They'd ice it, you know, they'd water it down and go like crazy.
What kind of sleds did you have?
Oh, regular sleds, and then we had bobsleds.
What are bobsleds?
Bobsled was a board with two little sleds, one on each end, and the front one could steer it with, and the other one just rode along for the ride.
What kind of regular sleds do you have? Did you have those saucers?
No, they were steel runner sleds, and with a slat top and a crossbar on it. You could steer them to a certain degree because you could bend that steel where you wanted to go.
That's cute. They had back then. Could you please tell me about the railroads in Akron? What were the railroads like in Akron?
Well, what is now the bike path was the Westshore Railroad.
How long did it run?
Oh. Well, they had diesels on it, so at the end. But they were all steam locomotives, of course. And that ran from Buffalo to Rochester.
Wow.
Down to, they would hook up with what they call the main line, the New York Central Railroad, which is over the one going through Crittenden. And incidentally, that one engine running between Rochester and Buffalo achieved the fastest time of any steam locomotive. 125 miles an hour he went down through there. He was late. He made up an hour between Rochester and Buffalo.
Wow.
My dad knew the guy running, his engineer. But
Who was the guy that?
and the West Shore Railroad, there was a train each way, one going east, one going west in the morning, the same at night. They were like commuters. They were commuter trains, really. But all your mail come in by train, all your parcel posts and it had one similar to a parcel post they call American Express Agency. And that came in, and there was a man by the name of Frank Shepard. He had a team of horses and a wagon in the summertime and a bobsleigh in the wintertime. And he'd haul the mail up to the post office, and then the express went down to that Ellicott Square building. And the newspapers came in on it. Well, that's where I started my first job, Pelham Paper. Yeah, you'd be down to the train, got there 20 minutes to 7 in the morning. And I had to pedal around town and get to school by 8 o'clock.
Oh, and how did you do that?
Hey, move.
Yeah.
And I didn't do the whole town. I just had a certain section. And
What was the certain section you had to do?
well, it started out and went across the tracks over to Morgan Street. That's runs off of Cedar, and then went over to Cedar, and then up Cedar Street to John Street, down and up one side and down the other, to go around the corner come up Main Street, then you hit out every store on the way up. And you went way up, well, the Hitchcock store, where the Park Delicatessen is now, that was for the end of it, where I had to go. No, I had to go up to Sherwood's too, at the end, then come back, turn in my papers, what I had left over.
All before school.
Wow.
All before school.
What about after school? What'd you do after?
Well, in the evening, they had papers come in, and, but I didn't peddle in the evening, I just peddled in the morning. I got a whole 75 cents a week.
Wow.
I didn't have to peddle Sundays, though, thank God.
Thank God.
But they, and that's when the Courier and Express was one paper, was two papers, the Courier Expresses. Morning Courier and the Morning Express. Then they combined.
Oh, okay.
And at night they had Buffalo News, and they had the Times, and the Democrat and Chronicle from Rochester.
So many papers.
Yeah, they all made a go of it too. And, but on where the electric station is down at the end of Clinton Street was a railroad depot. Oh, in the wintertime we had nice great big old pot-bellied stoves in there. They would be red hot. It would be nice and warm in there. They tore it down. I wish they'd left it, because you could have made two apartments in it very easily. But the trains, they blow for the whistles for the crossings, and we could tell just where they were when they were blowing. We knew how much longer we could play mumbly peg on the floor in the depot.
Mumble. What was mumbly peg?
Well, you play it with the jackknife. There's different kinds.
Jackknife.
You flip it up, and the way it landed, why, that's took us so many points for each different way it landed.
How many toes got cut off?
Oh, no toes, no hands, no fingers like that. Then that was in the wintertime. In the summertime, we played baseball. Well, a lot there. But Mr. Shepherd would haul that stuff up to post office and the express office. And people would come there and get there. You didn't have people peddling mail in the village. You did in the country, of course, but you didn't have any walkers.
You had to go to the post office and get your mail?
That's right. You see those mailboxes on the post office? Yeah, everybody had one of those. Combination.
Yeah, with those key things.
Everybody. That was when it was down in where Sunday's Child is.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's weird.
And then one time they had an exhibit called the railroad did, and this brand new great big locomotive pulling it, but it had this record-breaking engine in it, in the line, and it had the DeWitt Clinton. Have you ever heard of that locomotive? No, that was one of the first ones. That DeWitt, Clinton built, and it had a train, and then you could go and get right up in the cabs. And the big locomotive in the 999, there was the name of that fast engine. It had the big wheels on it, over 6 feet high. Just think how far that traveled, one revolution of that wheel. And you realize that that wheel, where it touched the track, it wasn't any bigger than a lead pencil mark. That's the only contact it had with the track.
Big wheels. Big.
Any wheel's got at a certain point where it had come in contact with the track.
Wow.
Then
Did people ride the West Shore into Buffalo to go to work?
Absolutely.
How much did it cost?
Oh, I don't know. I never rode it.
Oh.
But there was a dentist here in town, Doc Hicks. I don't know if you remember him or not. And John Price, he was a county clerk. And John Dodd was the deputy. He owned where the Legion is now, Newstead Hotel. And they used to ride it back and forth all the time. Now, there's other people too, but I can't remember them all. Then we used to, you know where the Murder Creek goes on under the tracks?
Mhm.
Used to climb up underneath there and snatch hook fish, which was illegal, but we did it. But the worst part of it was when a train come along, a lot of times it was pretty hot under there because they might dump their ashes in the creek.
What does that mean, snatch hook fish? Or
Snatch, well, you had
yeah.
a string with a hook that had 3 hooks on it, like in a triangle shape. When they swim, you yank it up, and you got them.
Why was it illegal?
They were supposed to snatch hook.
Okay.
One fellow caught one. Oh, a nice big pickerel, like this long. And he didn't want to go, but he happened to have that pair of these big hip boots on. He put it right down his boot and went home.
You basically did something illegal.
Oh,
But it was fun to you guys back then. She did something.
we had to do our own, make our own games up. We didn't have little leagues and anything like that. We had our own ball clubs and made them. And hockey teams, or well, they weren't hockey teams. We called them shinning. Tin can and a stick, play on the ice with it.
Why was it called shinning?
Because you got hit in the shins all the time with
What was it?
Used to play that down where, about where second base is, down in the park, down in Berkeley Street end. There used to be a pond there. You played shinny on it.
Back to the side of Main Street of Akron. Was the Akron house there back then? And
Yeah, but that
what-
was on the other side of the street.
Oh, can you talk about the other side of the street? Like what was going on the other side of the street? Like the Akron house, the Bag and Barrel, like
I did that.
Mary's Good and Plenty.
That's what we did last week.
That was in the previous interview. But the Akron house was called Hotel American Hotel.
American Hotel.
Why was it called that?
That was the name. I don't know, was that where I come around? Charlie Humphrey run it when I was a kid.
Oh, who was?
Down in the corner where that apartment house is now. That was that was a Union Hotel. Pop and Mandy Byrne. Pop and Mandy Bitterman ran that.
Do you remember playing in Akron Falls Park?
Oh, sure. We spent half our time there in the summertime. We would play all up through there. There was no bridge, no road, no Parkview Drive then. But there was where Parkview Drive starts up at East Avenue. I used to go down the hill and make a right-hand turn. A road. It was a road because there was evidently was a cement kiln down there. Because there was a, you could go down there and then you turn right and then left and then make it like an S-bend. And there was a mill race, which was about a half moon. Oh, and it was about that, I would say, that high. It was like a half full. The water used to go through to turn the mills.
Did you make the right before the creek?
Oh, you make a left.
When you
away
go down
from
the
the
hill,
door.
you'd make a right before the creek and then a left?
You make a right going down the hill.
You're making a laugh like
And
that.
it was banked. We had it all banked. And that's where we used to slide. Oh man, like Mount Van Hoevenberg. But you know, more kids got hurt there, but not seriously, but getting that cold or something. Maybe they were under a tree or something.
Nice.
But there was a old abandoned gas well down there, and it would bubble up. The gas would bubble up out of it, and then it would stop, and it was all sucked down through. And it had a pond, probably 6 foot in diameter. And when it would start to bubble up again, we'd throw a match on it and we'd light it. It would burn and burn and burn, and it would suck it down and out go a fire.
Where was that? Where would we look today to see the remains
Well, that's
of
under
that?
the law, under the lake.
Under the lake?
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is a mill race. Oh, it must have run back there probably 30 or 40 feet. They call it a mill race because the water would race down through it and turn the wheels, the paddle wheels. Oh, maybe 20 feet from the front, there was a hole in the roof where it was all laid up in stone. Well, some of the stones that came out up there at the top, we'd build a fire under there, and all the smoke would go right out through that hole. We'd get good and warm when we were sliding down the hill. In there, we used to go up to all up through there. They had different swimming holes and all that we'd make.
Where did you see swimming holes?
Oh, there was one they called Jebs's.
Where was that?
You know the tennis courts on East Avenue? That's straight back.
Mm.
And then there was two big pine trees. We used to call that twin trees. Then, of course, down below the railroad, on the other side of the railroad, we had 4 or 5 places where we used to swim.
On Cedar Street?
Well, one of them was right straight back from the coin laundry. And, we just built a dam up there and dammed it up, that's all. Every year. Then we go down the other side, Lewis Road. That was a little bigger place, Allie Beeman's. And
What about in the park when they built the bridge and the dam? Do you remember that?
I don't remember them building it. But I wasn't paying much attention to it then.
Did you play down there?
Well, they built that after, well, in the 30s, and I graduated from high school in 33. So, but we used to skate down there on the lake. Oh, boy, that was good skating. Then maybe, sometimes there'd be a couple hundred people down there skating at night. They had big lights up on the bridge so we could skate at night.
Did you do any other activities in the park while you were down there, like in the summer, spring, winter, fall, besides winter?
Oh, we played baseball down there.
Oh.
Why do you have this scar on your forehead?
Oh, I dove off the bridge. The dam come around like that, and there was all this stone riprap, and it was sloping. I misjudged a little bit. Look at that.
Oh.
I had 4 stitches put in.
Kids used to jump off that bridge all the time?
Oh, it was lots of them. Across on the other side, that was on this side, but on the other side, Clark Rumpson, I don't know if you remember him. He built a swing up there, and you could swing it and do a flip and land on a little lake.
So the creek was very deep where that was. It's not
Oh,
like
yeah.
today.
Well, by the where the lake is, it's deep, but the creek is maybe deeper than wherever it was.
Then how did Clark Remsen jump off the other side of the bridge and not die?
He just something different to do.
Just
Then we used to go swim up where the falls is too. Of course, they won't let you know.
the big falls, like where the
Yeah.
water like has to seep through now. There's like nothing there.
We used to swim in there too.
Did you jump off the rocks there?
Oh, yeah. Halfway up. I never got to the top. I don't think but I heard, I don't know how much truth it was. It's all hearsay. There was a guy jumped out of a tree up at the side of the creek into it, and he had a pair of sneakers on and ripped them right off. His name was Yank Dinkum. You know Barb Cole? Was her uncle.
Well,
He was a character.
anything else you would like to add?
Oh, let's see. I'd have to think a while on that. Something that's legitimate.
Something what?
Legitimate.
Oh.
Things that wouldn't allow it.
I'll shut this.